Hey guys, welcome back to Bixby's Beer Reviews. Great to see you again. Today we're continuing our journey through the wonderful world of American sour and funky beers. From the good folks at North Dakota's Drekker Brewing, we have Passionfruit Brains. I think you got to say it with the zombie voice. Drekker, pretty far afield from my mid-Atlantic home, but there's a reason to go there. They're one of the best and most interesting breweries today, I think, in terms of the sour beers and what they're willing to do with it. Definitely a brewery that has a lot of different series where maybe you need to do a little line drawing about how far you're willing to go afield from classic brewing techniques, but I don't think that's really an issue today. We're checking out Brains because, of course, we've already checked out a fruited sour, so we're moving up a little bit into what we would call a smoothie sour. A smoothie sour is any sour beer that includes both the addition of fruit and then lactose, oftentimes vanilla and other sort of sweet dessert ingredients too, to create a smoother, creamier, and richer sour than the more dry and funky or tart sours that you get with just fruit. So before we get into it, I guess I got to do a little science lesson. So when we talk about lactose in sour beers, it means something a little bit different than when you see lactose in a more conventional beer, like, say, a milk stout. For conventional beer, they'll add lactose as part of the fermentation process because traditional brewer's yeast can't ferment lactose. So the lactose stays in the beer, stays in the final product, and you get that creamier, richer body, as well as that particular lactose note that you get with some of those beers. Doesn't work the same way in sour beers because the souring bacteria, as well as the Brettanomyces that are usually hanging out with them, can digest lactose. So if you add lactose during fermentation of a sour beer, they'll just eat that up and you'll get a boozier sour beer. So you need a pretty sophisticated setup. So you have to ferment your beer first, then you have to take it out and pasteurize it before you add lactose. Otherwise, those bacteria will still be alive and they'll still eat the lactose. Having done that, you can then not only add lactose, which will stay in the final product, but you can also add fruit. Because then, instead of using natural free fermentation in the can to get carbonation, you use forced carbonation, and so there's no bacteria left in here to eat at the sugars from the fruit or the lactose. If you didn't do that, otherwise you might have a can that as soon as it gets a little warm, built up carbonation. Anyways, end of science lesson. Let's take a look at this one. So as I was saying, the Brains series from Drekker uses lactose to create smoothie sours. This one is just passion fruit. They have a lot of different beers that use a lot of different fruits, but this one is a ton of passion fruit. You guys know I love that one. Also has a little bit of vanilla in it too. Again, you'll often see lactose and vanilla together in smoothie sours. So right off the bat, you can see relatively low level of carbonation. You don't want high carb, you want more of a richer, fuller body here. Has a pretty light color. Passion fruit, if you've seen the inside of them, isn't very dark, so it's not going to color the beer too much. Also, you can see very thick, very unfiltered. As the side of the can says, passion fruit, more passion fruit, and even more passion fruit has been added. So let's go ahead and give it a smell. It is difficult to conceive of more passion fruit flavor being added to a beer, which I guess was the idea here. As I noted, when you're brewing with fruit in a sour beer, you have to be very careful that you don't allow re-fermentation in the can. Nobody wants a can bomb. So here, conversely, because there is no re-fermentation, the fruit flavor just stays in the beer. So perhaps it shouldn't be surprising. This smells like pure passion fruit. Let's give it a taste. So one of the things we talked about with fruited sours without any lactose is that you want to have balance between the tartness and the acidity of the sour, the carbonation for lighter body, and the fruit flavor. You want a harmonious marriage of fruit and beer. Here, we're starting to tip the balance way more towards the fruit. By having both the smoothness of the lactose, which tends to cut down on the acidity and the sourness, and the aggressive use of fruit without re-fermentation, this is way tilted towards passion fruit. I would say it doesn't come across like an actual milkshake or anything that's like so intensely sweet and heavy that you can't tell that it's beer, but it's starting to get a little bit more in the direction of something that tastes like fruit and less like beer. And that's fine. If you like the fruit flavor, you're going to get more of that, but you're still going to get something that's fundamentally a beer. And that's something that I really like. I don't always want something that's more tart. I want something that's a little bit more sweet sometimes too. So it's nice to be able to mix it up and go with something that can showcase fruit flavors in beer a little bit more aggressively. So if that's something you're interested in, certainly check out Drekker and their Brains series. I think that this is among their various series of beer, and we'll be checking out more of them. This is the one that brings the most fruit flavor without tipping over into too far. And so I love to check theirs out. I love to pick them up. And so I hope if that's something you're interested in, you'll be able to find them too. At any rate, hope you'll check us out in the next episode. As always, like, share, and subscribe, and drop any suggestions you have down in the comments. So thanks for joining me. I'll see you next time.